Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into something pretty big happening in higher education.
Yeah, big changes.
Generative AI. We've got this research paper. It's called The New Calculator: Practices, Norms, and Implications of Generative AI in Higher Education.
Yetchy title.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's like a glimpse into the future of learning.
It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not just talking about a new tech gadget here. Like, this is about a fundamental shift in how knowledge is created.
Yeah.
How it's accessed.
Exactly.
And ultimately how we learn.
So let's dive right in. This deep dive is all about going beyond the hype and seeing how students are actually using these tools.
Right.
Like ChatGPT, and what challenges our professors are facing.
Yeah.
And what this all means for the future of, well, everyone, really.
What I think is fascinating is that students are at the forefront of this whole shift.
Right.
They're not waiting for universities to tell them how to use these tools.
Right.
They're experimenting, innovating, and essentially becoming pioneers in this new landscape.
Yeah. You know, when I was in college, if I got stuck on a paper, I'd call a friend.
Yeah.
Or maybe head to the library.
Right.
But today, students have Jane AI or generative AI, which can create content like text, even code, right at their fingertips.
Right there. It's amazing.
And they're using it in so many ways. The research highlights three main categories: as a tutor, an assistant, and get this, even as an ideation partner.
I love that.
It's not just about getting answers.
Right.
It's about using AI to enhance their learning process.
Yeah.
So it's not just, hey, AI, write my paper for me. It's more nuanced than that.
Way more nuanced. The research found that students see these tools as collaborators.
Okay.
So, for example, one student in the paper was struggling with writer's block.
Oh, yeah.
They turned to ChatGPT, not to write the whole essay,
Right.
but just to ask questions about their topic.
Okay.
And the AI's responses, even if not entirely accurate, helped them overcome that mental hurdle and spark new ideas.
Yeah. That's actually brilliant. It's like having a brainstorming partner available 24/7. No wonder students are drawn to these tools. What else is in the research about why they like it?
The paper found 4 key factors.
Okay.
First is availability. Professors, friends, they're not always available. AI is always on call, ready to help whenever inspiration strikes.
That makes total sense, especially today where everything is on demand.
Exactly. Then there's efficiency.
Okay.
Imagine you're a student facing a mountain of dense academic research. AI can help summarize those papers, extract key points, and even suggest relevant sources, potentially saving hours of precious time.
That sounds amazing, especially for anyone who's ever felt overwhelmed by a research project. What else?
The third motivator is steering thinking.
Interesting name.
It's the idea that AI can help guide students' thought processes, even if the AI's responses aren't perfect.
It's like, sometimes the wrong answer leads you to the right question.
Precisely.
Yeah, okay.
In fact, one student even mentioned that incorrect AI outputs were valuable because they challenged their assumptions and forced them to think more critically.
That's really interesting.
And finally, there's the element of deeper engagement. Students are using AI to delve into subjects beyond their assigned curriculum.
So exploring areas that pique their curiosity.
Exactly.
Wow. So it's like AI is opening up a whole new world of learning, empowering students to go beyond just the classroom. But how are universities responding to this seismic shift in student behavior?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The world of academia is struggling to keep up.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The paper describes a Wild West scenario,
Oh, wow.
where clear guidelines and policies surrounding AI use are largely absent.
So many universities are still fixated on just plagiarism, but that doesn't really encompass the full spectrum of how students are actually interacting with these tools. It sounds like students are navigating a very uncertain landscape. What kind of impact is this having on them?
Well, this lack of clear guidelines is creating confusion and even anxiety among students.
Yeah, I bet.
They're unsure what's permitted, what's considered cheating,
Right.
and how to use these tools responsibly. It's a tightrope without a safety net.
That's understandable. We're talking about a truly disruptive technology here.
Yeah.
And it takes time for institutions to adapt. What about the professors? How are they responding to this new reality?
That's where things get really interesting. Some educators are taking a very proactive approach,
Okay.
actually integrating AI into their assignments.
Oh, wow.
They're asking students to analyze or critique AI-generated content, for example,
Interesting.
which encourages critical thinking and deeper engagement with the technology.
That's a cool approach. It's almost like they're saying, instead of fearing AI, let's learn to use it effectively. But not all professors are like that, right?
Right. The research also reveals apprehension among many educators. One even admitted to being hesitant to discuss AI with colleagues for fear of judgment.
Really? So there's still a lot of uncertainty and even fear surrounding this topic in academic circles. That's understandable. It's a huge shift, and it's challenging established norms.
Are students just throwing caution to the wind and using AI without any regard for the rules?
Actually, no. Students are, in a way, self-regulating.
Interesting.
They're forming their own unspoken rules for ethical AI use. They're fact-checking AI outputs, questioning its limitations, and trying to strike a balance between leveraging the convenience of AI while still developing their own skills.
That's really impressive. It shows a level of responsibility and awareness that perhaps many wouldn't expect. It seems like they're embracing the potential of AI while also being mindful of its pitfalls.
It's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the need for open and honest conversations about AI's role in education. We need to move beyond the fear and the hype and start exploring how these tools can be used effectively and ethically to enhance the learning process. Well said. So we've seen how students are using AI, the challenges universities are facing, and the anxieties felt by both students and educators. But where do we go from here? What does the future hold for learning in the age of AI?
That's a great question. It seems that both students and educators are beginning to envision a future where AI is not just accepted, but actually woven into the fabric of education.
Okay, so not just tolerated, but actually embraced as a valuable tool. But what would that actually look like?
Well, think about it this way. One student in the research drew a parallel between Gen AI and the introduction of calculators.
Oh, yeah.
It was a game changer, but it didn't eliminate the need to understand mathematical concepts.
That's a really interesting comparison. I remember when calculators first became popular in schools, there was a lot of debate about whether they would make students lazy
Oh, yeah.
or hinder their ability to learn math.
Right.
But now they're just a standard tool. Do you
Yeah.
think something similar could happen with Gen AI?
Absolutely. I
Right.
do. It's not about replacing human intelligence. It's about augmenting it. And just like we learned to use calculators responsibly and ethically, we need to develop similar frameworks for Gen AI in education.
So how do we do that? What are some concrete steps universities could take to integrate AI effectively?
Well, the research suggests that universities need to shift from a focus on policing plagiarism
Yeah.
to promoting AI literacy.
Okay.
This means providing students and educators with the skills and knowledge to use these tools responsibly and effectively.
So it's not just about saying don't cheat.
Right.
It's about teaching people how to actually use these tools in a way that enhances their learning.
Yeah.
What would that kind of training look like?
Well, imagine courses on how to craft effective prompts, how to evaluate AI-generated content, and how to understand the ethical considerations of using these tools.
Okay.
It's about empowering students to become critical consumers and responsible users of AI.
That makes a lot of sense. We need to equip students with the skills to navigate this new world of information, not just shut them off from powerful resources. But what about assessments? How do you test knowledge and skills in a world where AI can generate answers in seconds?
That is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Traditional exams might need a serious rethink.
I can see that.
The research suggests exploring more creative and critical thinking focused assessments.
Okay.
For example, instead of just asking students to write an essay, they could be asked to analyze or critique an AI-generated essay.
So the focus shifts from just producing content to evaluating and analyzing content, whether it's created by a human or an AI.
Exactly.
I really like that idea. It encourages deeper engagement and critical thinking skills.
Right.
What else?
Another idea is to have students document their AI usage process,
Okay.
kind of like a transparency report.
Interesting.
This would help them reflect on how they're using AI and ensure they're not overly reliant on it.
That's a really interesting approach. It encourages students to be more mindful of their AI usage and think critically about the role it's playing in their learning process.
The research emphasizes that we're moving beyond a model of education that's solely focused on acquiring knowledge.
Right.
It's about developing the skills to learn effectively in a world where information is abundant and easily accessible.
Yeah.
It's about critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, and ethical decision making.
Those are skills that will be essential not just in academia, but in any field, really.
Absolutely.
So what does this all mean for the listener, for someone who might not be in a university setting right now, but is curious about the impact of AI?
Well, I think it's important to remember that this AI revolution is not confined to the ivory towers of academia.
Oh, definitely not.
It's going to impact all of us in our workplaces, our communities, and even our personal lives.
It's almost like a preview of the future of work.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder how the listener might start incorporating these tools into their own learning or professional life. What advice would you give to someone who's curious about dipping their toes into the world of Gen AI?
First and foremost, don't be intimidated. AI can seem complex and even scary, but remember, it's just a tool.
Yeah.
Start by exploring different AI tools and experimenting with them.
Sure.
Try asking an AI to summarize a long article you've been meaning to read, or use it to brainstorm ideas for a project.
It's all about experimenting and finding ways to integrate these tools into your existing workflow, right?
Exactly.
It's not about replacing human skills, but augmenting them.
Exactly.
This research really highlights how Gen AI is prompting a fundamental shift in how we think about education.
It is.
It's not just about absorbing information, it's about learning how to learn with AI. It feels like we're on the cusp of a whole new era of learning.
We are, and it's not just about the technology itself. It's about how we adapt our mindsets, our approaches to teaching and learning, and even our definitions of knowledge and intelligence.
This research has been incredibly insightful. It's given us a glimpse into how students are already shaping the future of learning. But what does this mean for someone who maybe isn't in a university setting right now? How is this AI revolution going to impact their lives?
That's a great question, and I think it's important to remember that this isn't just an academic issue. The skills that students are grappling with today, critical thinking, ethical decision-making, navigating information overload, those are going to be essential for everyone in the very near future.
It's like we're getting a sneak peek into the future of work, and it makes me wonder, how might our listener start incorporating these tools into their own learning or professional life?
That's where the real excitement lies. And the beauty of it is you don't have to become an AI expert overnight. Start by exploring. There's so many incredible AI tools available, many of them free. Try using an AI to summarize a long article you've been meaning to read, or to brainstorm ideas for a project you're working on.
It's about finding ways to integrate these tools into your existing workflow, not replacing your skills, but enhancing them.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment. See what works for you, what doesn't. The more you play around with these tools, the more comfortable and confident you become.
I think that's a key takeaway from this whole conversation. We're all figuring this out together. There's no rule book, no right or wrong answer. It's about being curious, open-minded, and willing to adapt.
Absolutely. And remember, it's not just about the technology. It's like the human element. It's about using these tools to amplify our creativity, our ingenuity, our ability to solve problems and make the world a better place.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with a challenge. Think about how this changing landscape of education, this integration of AI into learning, might impact your own field, your own personal development.
It's a question worth pondering, and who knows, you might just discover a whole new world of possibilities.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the future of learning. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.